Hello.
Then, now,
Bow down to the queens.
Episode number 500.
forever.
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello. Welcome to episode number, I think it's 175 of the TEW IX Challenge Run. We're here for Raw for the June the 30th, 2025. It is the go-home show for Money in the Bank. It is also 2 days removed from Worlds Collide in a very hectic schedule that's only going to continue to ramp up once we get past Money in the Bank this weekend, because we've then straight on the fast road towards King of the Ring and K-Pop Demon Hunters Presents Evolution in Korea, which I think is 3 weeks after Money in the Bank that weekend. And then it's not long after that it's SummerSlam. And, I kind of want to, get through a lot of this stuff kind of quickly, because I'm in a Royal Rumble sort of mood right now, and you guys deserve at least one good Royal Rumble pay-per-view to watch this year, so I want to try and get there as fast as I can. Anyway, tonight we are going to find out the last qualifiers for the Money in the Bank ladder matches on the Raw side. The women's Money in the Bank qualifiers are triple threats. Charlotte Flair, Lyra Valkyria, and Liv Morgan are in one of them, and the other one is Tegan Nox, Tiffany Stratton, and Blair Davenport. Yes. And the men's one is a fatal four-way: Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Christian, and Chris Jericho. There's also a United States Championship match: Obafemi against Damian Priest, no disqualifications. Chad Gable and Seth Rollins are going to go face-to-face ahead of their championship match in 5 days' time in LA. Plus, John Cena has made the trip back. He's in Money in the Bank this weekend, but more importantly, on his mind, he's going to be reeling after his defeat in the main event of Worlds Collide to the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and a hell of a lot more. So without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. John Cena's theme hits to kick off the show. He gets a nice reception here, and he's on the microphone. The crowd's cheering for him. He goes, "Let's go, Cena." Back on home soil. He had an away game this past weekend, and it sort of rattled him a little bit that, the same calm and cool John Cena who laughed in the face of fans, mocking him and defying him for a decade. After all this time on his retirement tour, to get that reaction in Japan, obviously because they have their hero, he's a little bit unsettled, and you can tell it's got to him. And he goes, "What's up, everybody here in, I want to say San Francisco. I don't know where the Moda Center is. I think it's somewhere on the West Coast, obviously, because I try and realistically sort of plan the trajectory. And if you're in Japan, you fly that side back over to the States. So, and that's also like the side that LA's on. It's in Portland, okay." Which I think Oregon is, what's up, Portland? 48 hours ago, the wrestling world stood still. 48 hours ago, two men who we thought would never face off against each other did the dance for the only time in their careers it will ever happen. Never before, never again. Ace versus face. John Cena against Hiroshi Tanahashi. There could only be one winner on that night. And it wasn't me. Now I've got nothing but endless respect for the ace. A guy whose career in many ways over in Japan has mirrored mine. But I can't help but feel like I'm coming back here to the States feeling like I've let everybody down. I can't help but come back and feel like, as the face of WWE, as this being the biggest match on my retirement for the tour thus far, all these people that are going to follow me from January to December this year feel a little bit disappointed. And while Tanahashi, just like myself, we're both calling it quits and stepping aside for the next generation, I sort of got the idea that maybe December's too far away. Maybe if I feel like I already said when I announced my retirement this year that I didn't want to see myself become a shell of what I can, because if I can't do this at a level that you guys have come to expect me to do this at, I'd quit. And that's why I announced this retirement tour, because I feel like I can't do it at that level anymore. But maybe I was a bit too optimistic. Maybe Father Time can see John Cena more than I thought it could. Maybe it's best for everybody, for myself, for the future of this company and this industry, to step aside now. But then I remembered this Saturday something I got Bobby Roode to promise me. And that's a spot for the last time ever John Cena in Money in the Bank. And you saw the graphics last week. My face was all in the graphics for that match. And it's just now flying over from Japan back to Portland that it hit me. I shouldn't be so quick to feel so defeated. I lost a match fair and square on away turf to one of the greatest of all time. But that does not stop the goal, because what you people wanted was clear from the moment I announced my retirement. You wanted John Cena to become a 17-time WWE World Champion. And I can't, in good conscience, not give all of these people what they want. So yes, I may be struggling right now. I may have lost the Royal Rumble, but the one thing that's going to keep me going from now until December 13th, when this all comes wrapping up, is you and what you guys want from me. And you guys, more than I wanted myself, want to see one more John Cena WWE Championship reign. So, everybody, Raw, SmackDown, ECW, every single person, all 8 of these guys in this Money in the Bank ladder match, you better watch out, because I've come in not only as myself, not only as the retiring greatest of all time, looking to make history, I'm carrying the backs and the hopes and dreams of all of these people who have supported my entire run thus far, that want me to do it one more time on my back. I'm hoisting them all up, the weight of the world on my shoulders. We're storming into Los Angeles. We're storming into the Inuit Dome. And I'm taking home Money in the Bank. And I'm gonna, this time, avenge the wrong of 13 years ago. I'm gonna cash that in. I'm gonna become WWE Champion for the 17th time. That's when Bronson Steiner comes out. He goes, "Fine speech, John. You know, I understand why so many people of my generation and younger look up to you as a hero, because you sure do know how to turn him around from when you originally came out here just now, a whining baby, sniveling sack of crap, to now. But here's the thing, John. I was not going to come out here because I liked what I was hearing. I liked this realistic side of John Cena. The side of John Cena that knows he can't cut it anymore and was going to call it quits after a disappointing loss. But instead you kept on yapping. And now we have a problem, because now you're coming out here talking about winning Money in the Bank. Well, let me ask you a question, John. Do you know who's in that match too? It's not just a bunch of people that are your age when you're in your prime that you can steamroll over. It's people like me, half your age, that can do things you could never do, that have a hunger that you never had, and you've quite frankly clearly lost on this retirement tour. You see this? He sort of points at the Nexus armband on his shoulder. He goes, this is a mindset. This is a spirit of us rekindling NXT and the Nexus's dominance from what you did all those years ago to the last time a group of young upstarts tried to take your spot. And this time, John, there ain't a damn thing you can do about it but sit there and watch, and maybe if you try to get involved, catch an ass whooping like everybody else has. Ask Roman Reigns. Ask Seth Rollins, CM Punk, every single one of them, what happens. And as a matter of fact, John, I don't see why we wait till Money in the Bank. You've crushed so many dreams. Maybe it's time we do call this retirement tour early. Then Trick and Mello and Oba and Ethan Page all sort of appear behind Bronson Steiner. Cena sort of looks around at the crowd as they cheer him on. He takes his shirt off, he throws it into the crowd. He's ready for a fight. The Nexus storm the aprons. They stand in the ring circling him. CM Punk's music hits. Him and Ace Austin and Chris Bay rush out from the back. Punk's got a chair. He takes it to the back of Ethan Page. Ace Austin and Chris Bay fight off Trick and Mello. Oba Femi's out here. Him and Oba brawl. Because their matchup is first up. And then CM Punk slides in the ring. John Cena and CM Punk stand side by side. They sort of look around at the crowd going crazy. And they sort of look at each other, give each other a nod. And they start throwing hands at Bronson Steiner. Ethan Page, he comes into the ring. He takes the bullet. Bronson Steiner gets away. Ethan Page eats the GTS. He stumbles backwards into the AA. And, the rest of the Nexus retreat. Ober and Damian Priest are still brawling around ringside because they are going to stay out here for their match. But Cena and Punk, together, stand tall here tonight. '84. I think this might be one of the weakest Oba Femi title defenses, but it's fine. We take it. He retains the US title, and fresh off his grueling defense against Tomohiro Ishii at Worlds Collide. Oba Femi retains the US title against Damian Priest in 1433. Defense number 6 of the US title. Long may he reign, the ruler of the United States, I guess. 87 for Oba, 76 for Priest. And finally, Priest is put down. He had that second spurt when Raven came back and guided him back towards the title, but it's still not enough to unseat the ruler, who is looking to go down as one of the most dominant United States champions we've ever seen, and that's saying something, because, we had a lot of great US champions. Warden mainly, specifically comes to mind. Swerve, all these guys, Pete Dunne, had some good US title runs. Oba Femi looking to eclipse every single one of them. And he's off to a hot start since he won that belt back at WrestleMania. We then cut back. We see Punk, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay in the hallway when they bump into Cody. And Cody goes, "Excellent stuff out there, boys, taking to the fight to those guys." He goes, "Yeah, we sure could have used some help. Where the hell were you?" He goes, "I was back here, I trusted you guys to have it all handled. I was taking care of additional business that you might be interested in." And Punk goes, "Oh yeah, what's that?" He goes, "Well, I heard through the grapevine that the Nexus, on top of Bronson Steiner being in Money in the Bank, that the Nexus had been given one spot in the King of the Ring tournament." Punk goes, "Great, of course, okay? I don't know why Bobby Roode insists on being fair to these guys, but it's okay. They want to keep getting these opportunities. I'm going to keep knocking them down." Cody goes, "That's great, Punk. I'm glad you said that, because I just got done talking to Bobby Roode, And with the King of the Ring bracketology taking place this Sunday, I threw my name in the mix for a spot in King of the Ring. Punk goes, well, that's so very thoughtful of you, Cody. And he goes, I also put you down for a spot in King of the Ring. So whoever it is, whether it be you or I, one thing's for sure, whoever the Nexus throw into King of the Ring will be waiting to knock him down. And then Punk goes, well, what about the other guy? And Cody goes, Seth, he's got other things on his plate. He's too busy worrying about Seth Rollins right now. So for the time being, Punk, it's going to have to be you and me. And Punk just laughs because, of course, when it's Seth Rollins caring about Seth Rollins, then he gets to win all the matches. He gets to be on top of the world. But when it's actually time for him to get and put his ego aside for the greater good he claims to care about, he disappears. We then cut to Gorilla. Tegan Nox. She's ready for the triple threat Money in the Bank qualifiers. She's clearly quite nervous. I don't think technically ever. Well, no, she's been a SmackDown Women's Champion. What the fuck am I talking about? But very rarely in her career has she been, by herself. Because she came up as part of Smile and Shine, I think it was, with Kylie Ray. And then when that ended, and she was the world champion, and then that ended, and she joined Queendom. So now she's stuck here by herself with no one. After Piper Niven obviously announced her pregnancy last week. And Tiffany Stratton sees her, in Gorilla, hyping herself up. She goes, aw, look who it is. It's the loser, Tegan, sitting in Gorilla, ready for this qualifier with no one by her side. Isn't that just adorable? And they were sort of just laughing as she goes, yeah, okay. Piper's gone. I've thought I had someone to back me up, but they're not here. But it's fine. You're looking at a former SmackDown Women's Champion, something you've never been. Tiffy goes, excuse you? I'll have you know, Tegan, you're never gonna get any friends talking like that and acting like that to people who are better than you, okay? I'm the Women's Intercontinental Champion. I'm a future Miss Money in the Bank, and I'm gonna be the WWE Women's Champion. Something that you're never gonna be because you can't find success all by yourself. You need friends to back you up. I've got my friends. And tonight, up next, we're gonna put you in your place where you belong. As a loser with nobody's shoulder to cry on. Toodles. And then we get the match. It's Blair Davenport, Tiffany, and Tegan. 77. Blair Davenport sustained a calf strain. Okay, she can probably A, work through that, and B, it's fine. It's Blair. But Tiffany does win. Tegan Nox, obviously, at points, Mariah May and Anne-Marie start getting involved, and Tegan's overwhelmed by the numbers game, and of course the Unholy Union are also out there for Blair Davenport, so even if they get the upper hand on Tegan, she's then fucked, because there's nobody else. So, but she does eventually, start trying to fire up. She tries to take out Blair Davenport. She hits Blair Davenport with the Shiny Wizard, but then Tiffany flies in out of nowhere with the PME, puts Tegan Nox down, and Tiffany Stratton earns her place in Money in the Bank. 77 for Tegan, 88 for Blair, 80 for Tiffany. Obviously, I think the injury technically ruined the match, even though it's a calf strain. But sure, Tiffany Stratton, the Intercontinental Champion, joins Money in the Bank. I know a lot of you hate that, but it's fine. I've got, plenty of things in the oven for Tiffy that I felt putting her in the match made sense. But she's going to be a busy, busy girl over the next couple of weeks, is all I'll say. But yes, Tiffany Stratton joins, who is it? Alexa Bliss, who qualified on ECW last week. Asuka and Julia in Money in the Bank, with half of the field left to be determined. Thank you, Michael Hayes. Then get a backstage interview. Kathy Kelly's with Fraxium, and she goes, Axiom Fraser, I hear tonight you've got some big news to announce regarding Money in the Bank. He goes, yes, we do, Kathy. Money in the Bank, it's becoming one of WWE's flagship events of the year, and it'll be great for myself and my amigo here to feature on this year's event, which is why we just got done talking to Bobby Roode. And we are going to get our rematch for the World Tag Team Championships against Trick and Mello at Money in the Bank in Los Angeles. And Axiom goes, at Bad Blood, Trick and Mello, they got one over on us. But we know that even though they may be great, we are brothers. And we have what it takes to get our championships back and fight them out of the clutches of the Nexus. So Punk, Cody, Seth, everybody else who wants to fight this war, you won't have to get involved in this one because me and Nathan are taking those championships back to where they belong. So yeah, I had to book a second Raw match on this card because there's not going to be a women's title match on Money in the Bank for reasons we'll get into shortly. Well, we won't even technically get into why it's not on Money in the Bank, but I will give you the non-kayfabe reason as to why it's not on Money in the Bank. But yes, Fraxium get their rematch against Trick and Mello at Money in the Bank. Then see Oba striding through the hallway, US title over his shoulder. Randy goes, another one down. Damian Priest thought he was a bad man. He called himself the king of the streets. Well, guess what? Any old king steps to me, the ruler, and they get put in the dirt. Ask Big Bronson Reed. Ask every single person who stepped up to me in that Meat Madness match. Nobody here on Raw is on the level of the ruler, Oba Femi. Then Jorge Santana walks into frame. He goes, I've been impressed, Oba, I have. And one thing's for sure, you may be right, I may not be on the level of the ruler right now. But I know my heart's in it. I know if you gave me a shot, I could push you to the limits and test myself against you. And walk out the new United States champion, because this is a moment that I've always been born for. To chase singles gold here on Monday Night Raw, and I don't care who the mountain is, I've got to conquer to do it, because I've been conquering mountains my entire career. Hell, nobody ever thought I'd get this far. I just need to take up one step further. And Oba sort of laughs him off. He goes, this guy, huh? The way I've dismantled opponent after opponent after opponent, you think you are the man who can step to me next, Jorge? You're just a little man who can't hang in the ruler's world. And Santana sort of chuckles. He goes, okay, well, how about this? And he smacks Oba Femi in the face and walks off. And, of course, we get that angry shot of Oba Femi glaring at the camera after Jorge Santana slaps him in the face. 88 rated tag match. I can't remember if we've done the actual just 2-on-2 with Pete and Dudley against Fraxium. But we're doing it now. Gave Fraxium a nice showcase win ahead of their tag title rematch at Money in the Bank. Fraxium pinning Pete Dunne in 15:41. 83 for Fraser, 88 for Axiom, 82 for Pete, 72 for Dudley. Yeah, fun little tag match. Nice little NXT UK showcase here. And for Axiom, get the momentum back on rolling, and can they become two-time World Tag Team Champions at Money in the Bank? Then cut backstage to Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. And Trick just laughs and goes, look at them, Mello, huh? Look at them, Fraxium boys, thinking that they are going to get these championships back. They don't know the weird Trick Mello gang, the greatest ever. And just goes, Axiom Fraser, listen. Maybe in a different timeline you could have been with us. But this is the path you chose. You chose to get in bed with Monday Night Raw instead of standing by your roots and joining us and being part of something greater. And that's why we've had to take these championships, because they don't come much greater than Trick Mello gang. Every single second of every single day we wake up greater than you. Because he is Trick Williams, the greatest ever. I am him. You're just what? some loser who hides behind a mask, doesn't want to show his face. He goes, I bet he's ugly as hell, Mello. He goes, and Nathan, you're what? Still trying to overcompensate, trying to follow in your daddy Seth Rollins' footsteps, hoping you're going to make daddy proud by trying to fight the Nexus and get these championships back, or you're going to be daddy's little disappointment once again after Money in the Bank, because we are Trick Mello Gang. We are the World Tag Team Champions, and we are back at our best, because we are always the best, and that's how it is. And how it's always gonna be. Speaking of tag team champions in the Nexus, we then cut to New Millennium. And, Roxy's rather smug. She goes, despite everything, all of it, Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis, Ava, whoever's running NXT Japan these days, and of course Bobby Roode, trying to set up every single conceivable metric they can to stop us. But the harsh reality is finally starting to settle in. They see the two of us, myself and Cora, as just young rookies, thinking, oh, maybe if we run this four-way to stack the odds against them, maybe we'll run this one to stack the odds against them. It doesn't matter. The odds can be next to zero, and we'll get it done. Are you starting to see reality now? Reality is that whatever you do, whatever you throw at us, we're gonna win. Because we are history makers, we are record breakers, we are the longest reigning women's tag team champions to ever step foot in this locker room. And it doesn't matter who may think they're more dominant than us, they've got a harsh reality check if they want to step to us and take our championships. Because many women have tried, including the WWE Women's Champion Bianca Belair, including the Women's Intercontinental Champion Tiffany Stratton. And guess what? NXT sent their best, NXT Japan sent their best, Stardom sent their best. But nowhere's best, nobody at their best is better at being a tag team than myself, than Cora, the New Millennium. So you better start to love the look of myself and her with these championships, because we've already held them longer than anybody else in history. So at this point, who knows when we plan to drop these things? Because as far as I'm concerned, another 20, 25 years in this industry on top of our game will make this the longest reign of any kind this company's ever seen, and all you'll have to do is accept it, bow down at the feet of greatness that every generation you grew up loving, every generation you look back on so fondly, whether it be the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, hell, even the 2010s and the Horsewomen and all of those. We're better. And we'll always be better forever. Then they got back to the ring, and the old learning tree trio are angry in the ring, and they go, I just saw the women's tag team champ. I imagine this is actually a Zeta promo, because, no, Morgan normally does the talking for the group, but this is specifically tag team oriented. And she says, they were talking about how they beat Bianca, they beat Tiffany. Last I checked, those two were singles competitors. Those two were singles champions. But yet you've got real women's tag teams like me and Kaya Saint here who never get an opportunity. We never get a sniff in at these things. But they're going to hand all the opportunities they can to Bianca Belair, because Bianca needs another championship around her waist. And Bianca's got to do this to avoid this defense and that defense. It's getting ridiculous, the amount of times that young, rising women's tag teams are being passed over. And congratulations to Corbin and Roxy. They're young, rising women's tag team, and they cracked the code. Maybe it's time for us to crack the code too. Bianca, Get your ass out here right now. Bianca obliges, and her and Jakara Jackson make quick work of Kaya Saint and Zeta Steel. Bianca pinning Kaya in 3 minutes with the KOD. 95 for Bianca, 57 for Jakara, 29 for Kaya, 43 for Zeta. So yeah, a nice quick win for Bianca and Jakara Jackson here tonight. And it's after the match that we really need to pay attention to, though. You know, not this quick squash victory. Because as Bianca's celebrating on the belt, you know, we see, like, the camera's focused on Bianca on the top rope, you know, holding her belt up, swinging her hair around. And we just see sort of like Jakara just get yanked out from under the ring, like in the background, and like tossed into the steel steps. And then we see that it's Lyra. Lyra slides into the ring and she drops Bianca Belair. She picks her up and she hits her with the Nightwing. And she picks her up and hits her with a second one. And then she sort of like looks down, she looks at the belt on the floor. She picks the WWE Women's title up and she takes it with her to the back. She leaves with the belt. You know, she effectively steals the WWE Women's Championship after dropping Bianca with the KOD. Speaking of the former WWE Women's Champions, Bivens is backstage. He goes, "Wow, Chelsea, I'm sure all of your favourite wrestlers from generations in the past loved that brave, daring performance of you trying to get in Money in the Bank last week." Well, Alexa, congratulations to her. She's in Money in the Bank as Chelsea Green's loser ass ain't in Money in the Bank. And if she wants to keep bringing out more and more of her heroes to get stomped on by this bitch Jade Cargill, we welcome it. But as of right now, we're going to have to put a pause on that. Because this bitch Jade Cargill right here needs to get back on top. Which is why she will be in the Queen of the Ring tournament. And just like every single other person before her, whoever steps to this bitch Jade Cargill is going to get stepped on, is going to get crushed and dismantled beneath her boot and pushed aside. And SummerSlam comes around, whether it still be Bianca or whoever it may be, Jade is coming back for her crown. See you Sunday, where we find out who the first victim is of Jade Cargill's quest to regain that WWE Women's Championship. So yeah, Queen of the Ring, of course, also starting next week. We've had a couple of King of the Ring stuff be mentioned, but Jade is in Queen of the Ring. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Money in the Bank qualifier. The four-way Dominic, Rey, Jericho, and Christian. Dominic Mysterio and the Old Men, the retirement home. And obviously, based on that description I've just told you, it is Dominic who manages to get the win. The finish is, I imagine Jericho is like, he's doing stuff, because technically Jericho is still kind of new to this sort of like return of the old Y2J thing. So he's running wild, he's getting all fired up. The crowd wants him to win low key. And that's when Christian like takes Jericho out. Obviously it's no DQ, he's allowed to do it with a chair and shit. And Dominic helps Christian take out Jericho. When Rey Mysterio gets all fired up, he takes his own son down to the outside of a Hurricane Rana. He hits one on Christian, hits the 619 on Christian. He drops the dime, 1, 2, and then Dominic flies in off the pin with the frog. Like the finish from Mania last year when he won the belt, where, Finn had the pin and then Dominic hit the frog splash and pinned Finn. That on Rey, basically. And, Dominic celebrating. Christian, you can see, is a little bit frustrated. Because, even though his adopted son Dominic has won the match, he kind of wanted to win it. But Rey, he sort of just, sort of like starts to come to, sees that Dominic got the win. He sort of just shrugs his shoulders like, he got me. So, Dominic Mysterio joins Bronson Steiner, John Cena, Andrade, and Finn Balor, I believe, in Money in the Bank. I hope the Finn... It was, like I say. I hope the Finn qualifier was the one I did last week, otherwise I just spoiled it, but it is, because the one tomorrow night is Kevin Owens, Pistolero, Kylan Rodgers, and another guy. We then cut backstage to Bayley. She's waiting in the hallway, when Lyra Valkyria walks in. She goes, hey, Bailey. Ooh, ah, and all that. She goes, anyway, sorry. I come bearing great news. I've got 2 gifts for you. Bailey goes, I didn't need gifts, Lyra. She goes, no, I insist, okay? Like, if we're going to be friends, and it's a belated birthday present, 2 of them. If we're going to be friends, I need to start, treating you like one of us. So, first of all, I've got you this. And she just slams the women's belt on, like, one of the boxes in backstage next to Bailey. And she goes, what's that? Is that a replica women's championship? And she goes, no, this is the real thing. I took it from Bianca just now. And Bailey goes, why? She goes, because I want you to have it. And Bailey goes, well, I would love to have the women's championship too, but I would love to win it back fair and square. And Bailey goes, exactly. Which is why the second piece of information I've got is I've just been for a chat with Bobby Roode. And we both agreed that, these victories you've been scoring over Bianca, that I've helped you get, by the way, should come with some sort of reward. So, at the upcoming pay-per-view, and Bailey goes, what? Money in the Bank? She goes, no, the Evolution. K-pop Demon, that one, the sponsored show with the silly name. Bailey goes, well, I think I've got to say it if we're sponsored. She goes, at K-pop Demon Hunters presents TEW Evolution in Korea, you, Bailey, will challenge Bianca Belair for the Women's Championship. And we both know you can beat Bianca because you beat Bianca twice last year with the title on the line. So, I thought, why are we just going to wait that long? Why we may as well just skip the formalities and hand you the championship right now. And Bailey goes, championship match at Evolution. At K-pop. Yeah, thanks, Lyra. I truly do appreciate it. Because I know you do. Because we're friends. And, as a token of gratitude, I promise that after I win Money in the Bank, I'll cash in on a different championship and we can reign together as champions here on Raw. Bailey goes, great. And then Lyra goes, remember what you've got to do. Because once we help you win this championship at Evolution, I want to make it us official. Bailey goes, I appreciate the title shot, Lyra. It's fine. Haven't you got a match to go prepare for? She goes, yeah. See you around, friend. And she sort of leaves. And Bailey sort of just awkwardly looks down at the belt that's laying next to her. Yeah. Bailey and Bianca is the first match confirmed for Revolution, which is only 4 weeks from tonight. So I can start announcing matches for that show too. Didn't want to do it on Money in the Bank for reasons that will, become more clear after the pay-per-view's finished. But, yeah. K-pop Demon Hunters presents Evolution. First match is confirmed for that night in Korea. Bianca Belair, who has a less than stellar record, mind you, against Bailey in big WWE Championship matches, defends her championship against Bailey on that night. And Lyra, of course, has a Money in the Bank qualifier coming up next. Or shortly, I don't know if it's exactly next. First, though, Jericho and Ray, they're sort of yapping it up backstage. He goes, man, it would have been great to win Money in the Bank for the first time in my career. The match I created. But I've got to hand it to you, Ray. That son of yours, he may be a pain in the ass, but he can damn sure get it done in that ring. And Ray goes, I saw Dominic out there and Christian out there, and I was expecting him to, take the cheap way out, but he got me tonight. It irritates me to see my son become who he's become, but I have to admit he's got me out there tonight. And then Christian walks into frame. He goes, that was your teachings, right? Because it certainly wasn't mine. And Ray goes, what? He goes, Dominic, being so selfish out there. These are the bad habits you've taught him for being such a terrible father that even a good father like me can't beat out of that young man. Congrats to him, he gets to be in Money in the Bank, but he should have known Daddy eats first. So I'm gonna blame you, Ray, for your son's bad habits. But it's fine. Once he wins Money in the Bank, his success is my success, because that's my baby boy now, Ray, not yours. And then Jericho goes, so let me get this straight, Christian. You jackass. You whiny little bitch. You think Dominic, everything successful about Dominic is because of you? And everything that you dislike about that son of a bitch Dominic is because of Ray? And Christian goes, yeah, pretty much. He goes, I don't know about you, Ray. Sounds like we've got a real deadbeat on our hands. Let's call him Deadbeat Christian from now on. Ray goes, I don't care. You know, I'm ready to move on from Dominic. Okay, he's got his own career ahead of him. I've got to finish out the rest of my career. I can't keep doing this. If he wants to be with Christian, let him. And Jericho's like, what the hell, man? You know, that's your son. '82, Liv Morgan also gets a thigh injury, which also tampers this match. And distracted thigh muscle sounds a little bit worse than the one that Blair got, but probably still something she can work through. It will hamper her in-ring performances, which, you know, her breathing does that. But, yeah, Lyra gets the pin over Liv to qualify for Money in the Bank. So Lyra, of course, after getting Bayley that championship match, has taken home the briefcase here tonight. Not the briefcase, fucking the spot to win the briefcase. She hasn't won Money in the Bank. The briefcase wasn't secretly on the line in this match. 77 for Liv, 88 for Lyra, 81 for Charlotte. So yeah, Lyra joins Tiffany Stratton, Julia, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss in the Money in the Bank ladder match, with one member of the ECW roster, either Rhea, Tatum, Naomi, or Kathy, joining tomorrow. And then on SmackDown, it's Jordan Grace against Shayna Baszler and a Battle Royal to determine the last spots. And then one of those 8 women will take home the briefcase. We then cut to ads after Lyra's win. We cut back and we see Bayley sort of on the phone with something. He goes, I don't know, I've got a title match at Evolution out of it, so I think that's pretty good. You know, what do you think I should do? She sort of like listens on the phone. We see Lyra sort of appear behind her, and then Bayley notices her and she's like, you know what, I've got to call you back. And Lyra goes, who was that? She goes, it was nothing. I was just talking to a friend. And Lyra goes, well, friend, you don't need to speak to other friends. You got your only friends right here, right now. Plus, Bayley, guess, did you see that? I'm in Money in the Bank. So I'm going to win the briefcase. Which, not that I think you're going to. I was thinking about it ever since I left. I can, if you were unsuccessful to beat Bianca at Evolution, I can cash that in and win the championship. Bayley goes, all right, so now you think I'm going to lose. And she goes, no, I just said I don't think you're going to. But, you know, it's a plan B in case things go sideways, in case I misjudged our friendship. And then Lyra walks off and Bayley goes, huh, okay. And then see Charlotte, a frustrated Charlotte making her way through the back. You know, she's pissed off that she didn't qualify for Money in the Bank. Ariana Grace is there trying to calm her down. She goes, I've won Money in the Bank before to quell a championship drought that I've been on. And I was hoping to do it again this year, but I guess it's not. I guess I just can't get it done. Then, is the Queen losing again? And Tiffany Stratton walks into frame with the rest of her girls. She goes, well, guess what? I guess not everybody can be good enough to be in Money in the Bank, okay, hon? Because I got the job done. You didn't, okay? And you're supposed to be the greatest of all time, Big Charlotte Flair, and you couldn't get in Money in the Bank, but little old Tiffy could, because you're looking at your replacement around here, Charlotte. She goes, Is this just what you do now? Okay, you just walk around here antagonizing every single person you bump into. I saw what you did to Tegan earlier on tonight. You're coming up to me now. Sooner or later, one of us is going to punch you in the mouth. And I also wouldn't be so confident walking up to me with that attitude, Tiffy, because I may not have won Money in the Bank. He sort of gets in Tiffany's face. He sort of looks down at the IC title. She goes, but maybe I've got my sights set off on other things, on newer opportunities around here. Toodles. She sort of walks off, and you can see Tiffany's sort of been flustered. Like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have said anything, but I was just being a bitch. And now Charlotte wants my belt. A6 rated main event match is LA Knight and Logan Paul. Again, technically a King of the Ring qualifying match, but not officially. But LA Knight said that he wanted to be in King of the Ring after defeating Logan Paul, which he does. He beats him in 16:59 with the Gravy Train. Yeah. 79 for Logan Paul, 86 for LA Knight. And yeah, big win for LA Knight. And he's celebrating, the crowd's going crazy. LA Knight, yeah. When Gunther's music hits and he walks out onto the stage. He sort of claps him. He goes, congratulations, LA Knight. Congratulations, I didn't know if you had it in you to beat Logan Paul. But you did it. You proved me wrong. And now I guess the next stop for you, per your own words, is King of the Ring. And let me ask you this question, LA Knight. Do you truly think you can become the King of the Ring when you know the Ring General is in this year's King of the Ring? Because let me tell you, I am going to win King of the Ring. I don't care who's in it. It could be LA Knight, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. You name them, every single person that steps to me, the Ring General, will regain his throne at the top of this company. And that includes, if I have to put down John Cena to get there. And also grabs the mic and he goes, you must be hit on the head a little bit too hard, Goonie, huh? You're coming out here talking about CM Punk, talking about Cody Rhodes, talking about John Cena. But you're looking at this guy. Okay, last time I checked, all those guys you mentioned, they haven't won King of the Ring. Cody has, actually, so ignore that. But you know who has? This guy, the megastar, LA Knight. And you said, do you really think that I have what it takes to become king? Yeah. Next week, we have nothing really announced for Raw other than the unconfirmed participants and the start of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments, which we will have a bracketology video going up, which will be after Money in the Bank, going over the participants in this year's King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. So yes, stay tuned for that. It will be up the day after Money in the Bank. It has to be after Money in the Bank because Money in the Bank will have King and Queen of the Ring implications. Basically, there will be people that spots left open in the tournament that will be filled by people that don't win Money in the Bank, because Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank, whoever they may end up being, won't feature in King and Queen of the Ring. So that's why it's after the pay-per-view, because we need to know who is in those spots. We probably even say that on TV. I don't mind saying that if you win a title opportunity by winning Money in the Bank, you don't get to be in King of the Ring. It's lame. So, yeah. But moving on to Money in the Bank, we've got a couple of matches set for that show, including the main event last week, which was confirmed when Seth Rollins beat CM Punk in an impromptu Raw main event. It will be Seth Rollins challenging Chad Gable for the undisputed WWE Championship in Los Angeles at Money in the Bank. And Fraxium have a chance to regain the Tag Team Championships when they get their rematch against Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes at Money in the Bank. And the Raw fields for the Money in the Bank ladder matches are now finalized. Dominic Mysterio tonight earned his spot in that match. He joins Bronson Steiner, John Cena, Finn Balor, Andrade, 2 more SmackDown guys and 1 more ECW guy in the Money in the Bank ladder match for the men. And for the women, Lyra Valkyria and Tiffany Stratton tonight earned their spots in the match, joining Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Julia, 2 more SmackDown guys and 1 more ECW guy. And we also tonight learnt the first match for the upcoming K-Pop Demon Hunters Presents Evolution premium live event in Korea. The WWE Women's Championship will be on the line. Bianca Belair and Bayley. Now, an old rivalry renewed. Last year, Bayley, she went 2-0 in championship matches on PLE for this belt against the current champion Bianca Belair. Can she make it a three-peat and take the gold home officially? Because I guess she technically is in possession of it right now. In 4 weeks in Korea at Evolution. Seth Rollins makes his way out for the main event segment. He gets the mic and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night Rollins." Because now, last year, after SummerSlam, after certain events unfolded with certain people, I took a leave. I had to go out and find myself, and that was when I was brought back for one reason and one reason only, and that was to become WWE Champion. And I came so close. I had CM Punk dead to rights at WrestleMania. Until I, admittedly, felt a taste of my own medicine. Mr. Money in the Bank, Chad Gable, came to the ring. He cashed in, pinned me to the mat, and took my title that should have been mine. But now, Saturday night in 5 nights' time in Los Angeles, I get the chance to finally write my destiny, the reason I came back in the first place. And that's to become WWE Champion. I don't care who I've got to go through to get it. Monday Night Raw remains a hostile environment. It remains a place that needs saving. And this time, I won't fail. Chad Gable comes out, and he laughs. He goes, "Seth, who are you fooling here? Who are you honestly trying to fool here? Listen to yourself, King. You're not going to come out of Money in the Bank as WWE Champion. Let me tell you why. Because you can't get the job done. You were brought back from WWE, like you said, to become WWE Champion, to defeat CM Punk and end this evil run of tyranny forever. You couldn't do it. That's why I had to wait in the wings and get it done for you. Okay? Ever since you lost this championship, 2.5 years ago at WrestleMania, you've done nothing to even indicate that you have what it takes to get the championship back, because you're too focused on Punk. You're too focused on things that in the grand scheme of your career don't actually matter. But I did notice one little thing last week, Seth. You choked, and you choked, and you choked. But last week you finally did it. You finally managed to beat CM Punk. For what? For your own personal gain. When it's all about Seth Rollins, when Seth Rollins is going to benefit from the win, that's when you can get it done. When the pressure's off, you thrive. But the second that little pressure knob is turned up even slightly, well, Seth Rollins, he's a ghost. He can't get it done when the lights are on bright anymore. So Money in the Bank, when the lights are on the brightest they've ever been, when the spotlight is finally where it deserves to be on the WWE Champion Chad Gable, we know what happens. Seth Rollins chokes on those stages. But you know, Seth, it's funny. When I won this championship, I was looking forward to our eventual clash, but now I know it's going to be a cakewalk. Because you're not on my level. I'm doing this at a level above anybody in this company is doing this right now, and there's nobody on this roster that can touch me. And that includes you. Because you can't touch Chad Gable. Hell, you can barely even touch Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins, on his best day, never won an Olympic medal. Seth Rollins, on his best day, never beat CM Punk like I did. And a Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins on what is supposed to be his best day will once again do what Seth Rollins does when the lights are on brightest. Choke. And Seth, he goes, "You want to run a big mouth, huh? You want to talk a big game like you didn't spend 10 years scratching and clawing to get this opportunity that I did in 3. Okay? Listen here, you can talk all you want about what's been going on with me recently, but I know what needs to be done needs to be done, and I can get it done. Look back at Clash at the Castle 3 years ago. The tribal chief, he needed to be stopped, and I did it. WrestleMania, CM Punk needed to be stopped, and I would have done it if it wasn't for you. Money in the Bank. I'm not going to say you need to be stopped, Chad. You're a hell of a champion. But more so than you needing to be stopped, I need to right my wrongs. Because if I can't right my wrongs, why the hell am I even here? Why'd I even come back if I can't hang at the level that I know I can? If I can't come back and do the one job I came back to do? So Money in the Bank, Los Angeles, Chad Gable, it's the biggest match of your career. Let's hope when the lights are on brightest, it's not Chad who chokes. Just like Chad, when the lights are on him brightest last time at the Olympics, choked and can only call himself a bronze medalist. And Gable, you can see that one's really rattled him. And, but he's Chad Gable, he no-sells it because he's big brain and shit. But yes, Seth Rollins, Chad Gable. Gable will get his main event at Money in the Bank. It's funny, seeing comments about Gable not getting his main events. Like, the reason why I felt okay doing the Nexus match in the main event is Backlash is because I knew he had these in the can. So, I wanted to really kick off that and, prove that is, a big thing. Because I knew Gable had main events in the can. So, it was funny this entire time seeing everyone oh, why is Gable not getting, I knew he had them. It's fine, relax. I'm self-aware enough. But yes, Seth Rollins, Chad Gable, Money in the Bank, WWE Championship on the line. Who takes it home? 89 show. Yeah, quite a lot packed into this one, again, from the I guess, benefit, but also not really benefit, because it means, there's less time for less important things. I've got to cram about 8 segments with Lyra in them on the same show. But yes, I might as well as you for of the show. Do let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you on the other side for Heat. We kick off Heat with a great tag team match. Solani against the Unholy Union. It's an 81, a great opening match. And I don't want to say upset, because Unholy Union are sort of in terms of the tag division, there is obviously the champions, there's New Millennium, there's whatever main eventer and combo, and then there's everybody else that's sort of in the mid-card. But in terms of in-game popularity and so far establishedness, this is somewhat of an upset. Solani beat the Unholy Union. Tegan and Piper were struggling, but I guess Blair was too worn out from Raw, so she couldn't be here at ringside, so when it's 2-on-2, Ruca pins Iona Webb with the Soul Snatcher in 11:50. 54 for Kelani, 77 for Sol, 72 for Iona Webb, and 88 for Alba Fire. Alba, of course, still showing out. I'm tempted to see how she does without the chemistry boost, but she is obviously carrying this team at the minute, and she's always somebody that I'm always going into every new season, I'm yeah, I want to give her the push this time. And then it sort of just never really happens. But Sol and Kelani racking up momentum. 35-way quick match. Jada Parker, she wasn't on Raw this week, so she just gets a quick win over Hayes Jameson in 4:24. 56 for Jada, 18 for Hayes. Sure, Jada gets the win. We then see Chelsea Green backstage with Alicia Sanford. And Chelsea goes, I heard what Bivens had to say on Raw. And I'm not sure exactly what he's trying to accomplish here. Yes, Jade Cargill is a physical specimen. Yes, she's probably better currently and stronger currently than any of the divas from the era that I grew up in that I wish I was a part of. But she thinks she's sending a message to me when I'm trying to focus on my own success, but Jade and Bivens apparently can't let this go. And I hear Jade's going to be in Queen of the Ring, well, best of luck to her. I truly hope she wins it, because then maybe Jade can actually focus on doing something important rather than what she's being forced to do, which is to beat up retired women's wrestlers at the behest of a crazy, bald, short manager and carrying Jada on her back, giving herself a backache. Okay? Now, if you'll excuse me, Alicia, I've got places to be and things to do that are so much more important than Malcolm Bivens. 52-way tag match. I'll take it, that's pretty okay. The Page sisters defeat Kendall Gray and Lainey Reed. Kenzie pinning Lainey in 11 minutes 07. 61 for Kenzie, 57 for Kylie, 24 for Lainey, 33 for Kendall. So yeah, fun little tag match, goes 11 minutes, so these two actually put up a fight here, which Zoe Stark gets on the mic after the match. And she goes, wow, Kendall, Lainey, you two really showed out here tonight. Great showcase against my girls, Kenzie and Kylie. It's nice to have some faith in the future of the women's division here, because you two, you're not here. You're here to be legit, okay? You're not here to pander the way a lot of these younger girls are here to pander. You're here to be legitimate and take wrestling seriously. So let it be known there's always a spot under my wing for either of you. She sort of offers her hand out to Kendall. Kendall shakes her hand and then tosses Zoe Stark to the floor. And she gets the upper hand on Zoe Stark here tonight, Fun little segment. And a 76-rated main event. Saya Kamatani against Aoi. I had to keep Aoi strong here because Saya picked up the win 14 minutes 11 with the Star Crusher. 70 for Saya, 93 for Aoi. And yeah, nice win for Saya again on Heat. She's picking up a lot of wins on Heat recently. I think she won last week, which was before the segment where the ladder match was announced. But Cammy takes the mic again. She goes, I heard a little something, The bad thing about Saya dominating this show recently is that I hear everything that is said on Raw. And I heard Cora Jade and Roxy Perez running their mouths about how they're gonna be forever the most dominant women's tag team champions in this company's history. But last I checked, they weren't the most dominant women's group in WWE history, not even recent history. Just because we don't have the championship anymore doesn't mean that we don't have the power. So Cora, Roxy, if this is really the game you want to play, play it. '74, pretty good Heat, hot opening, hot ending, and yeah, that is the end of Heat. All my ones on U4 of the show, mainly of Raw. And I'll see you next time for ECW on their go-home show for Money in the Bank. See you then.